Back with another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavone alongside my co-host Cedric Maxwell. And Max, the Celtics are on a 3-game winning streak. You got Jason Tatum scoring 30-plus points in 4 consecutive games. But how legitimate is it? We'll get into that in a second. But first and foremost, Max, I haven't seen you in a while. We have to get right into this LeBron James suspension for what happened between him and Isaiah Stewart of the Detroit Pistons. Of course, this did go down at Detroit. Everyone who's into basketball, I'm sure, knows about it by now, but the suspensions came out. LeBron James receives a 1-game suspension. Stewart gets 2 games. Max, what's your reaction to that?
First of all, why you get two games? I mean, if LeBron should have got 2 games. You should have got 2 games if that's what you're doing.
I don't know. You think they both deserve the same punishment? I don't know about that, Max.
Just wait. The guy who started the fire. That's what you mean? We gonna forget about the guy who started the fire. We're gonna give him less, days as punishment. That shouldn't be the case.
No, but come on, man. Stewart, the whole, I'm good. No, I'm fine. Guys, no, seriously, I'm fine. And going back at him, the NBA was gonna send a message about that, Max. They can't. You can't be doing that.
If Stewart wanted to fight, he would have came up and gave LeBron a 2-piece. Don't hold me back. When he came up, just give him a 2-piece right away. That's what you do. You start from there.
He touched him too. He had his chance. He had his hands on him.
He had his hands on him. If you're gonna swing then. Don't wait until later on and go crazy. So I think that was a bunch of theatrics. So for me, if you're gonna give LeBron, if you give Stewart 2 games, LeBron should get two games. I mean, because you're talking about somebody who instigated the whole situation with the punch. And it wasn't like I didn't mean it. And then when he hit him, he put his hands on like, whoa, you okay, man? You all right? You all right? Mm-hmm. Like we said, like the boys, like, not are you all right? You all right? You all right?
No. I'll do you one better, Max. It's like when the older brother really means to hit you and you instantly start crying and he doesn't want mom and dad to hear. Shh, I'm sorry. That's what it was. That's what that shit was, all right? He saw the reaction. He said, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Oh, wait a minute. He's a real one. He might come after me. I don't know, Max. And then, in my opinion, I feel like once the blood started coming down, he went from 0 or he went from 20 to 100 in terms of how angry he was. I don't know.
He kept it real at that point. Like, okay, dude, you just did what you did to me, and you think I'm not gonna keep it real? I'm keeping it real right now. So let's not confuse anything about what happened. You got a guy who got hit in the eye by LeBron James with a backhand punch, and then everybody says, Stewart was the one that went crazy. Well, he wouldn't have went crazy if he hadn't got what? If he hadn't got hit. That's what started the situation. So let's not take LeBron off the hook. And LeBron, the guy standing in the background like he's watching the damn movie. I mean, like, really? Like, man, that looks that raging buffalo coming towards me. That looks really dangerous. Come on, man.
What's the funniest part of the video though? Russ.
Yeah. Putting his hands up, and then Russ talking about, I got a technical. What do you mean I got a technical? Were you about to punch somebody? Really? I mean,
you're out here throwing your dukes up, man.
Here's the thing you really should do, and this is, I truly believe that. Should have let him go. And let him go to LeBron and see what would happen. They both would have passed out and fainted. Nobody was gonna punch nobody.
I don't know about that.
Dude wasn't punch. Josue.
No. Let me tell you something, Max. Let me tell you something.
If a dude hits you, you come up swinging. That's what you do. You don't go to him.
But Max,
man, why you do that?
Yo, I get you. I get you with that. But again, to me, it's about the blood, man. These NBA players, they don't want to be a meme, okay? They're not trying to live on the internet for the next 10 years. And to that same message, LeBron doesn't want to get knocked out. He's like, whoa. He's grabbing all of his teammates to build a wall. Like, hey, DeAndre Jordan, come here, come on, help me with this one. Like, he didn't want that either.
And DeAndre Jordan, shouldn't he be suspended, or was he on the floor already?
That's what he's there for shit like this.
I mean, was he was he on the floor though? Playing.
I want to say he was in the play, yeah.
Okay, well, if that case, he would have been suspended. If he hadn't been, maybe he was on the floor.
Right.
But here's the thing that everybody's forgetting. Detroit was up by 15 or 16 points at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Lakers were getting beat by the worst team in the league.
That's when LeBron throws balls like that. Come on, man.
So,
That's when that happens.
so
Look, and LeBron's not a dirty player. I think the dirty player, but like when he's in the heat of the moment, he will do stuff like this. I believe. I don't think he's dirty.
he's not a dirty player, but he did a dirty move. How about that? Let's just cut to the chase. I mean,
that's accurate. I think
as
that's
long
accurate.
as LeBron's been in the league, you think has LeBron ever in how many years? 19 now? He's been in this league, or whatever numbers he's been in this league. Have you ever seen LeBron James punch anybody? Punch.
I've never even seen him.
No, that would be held to the no. You've never seen LeBron James punch anybody. Man, you tell me the last person that actually threw a punch that I remember, Serge Ibaka. Now, if that had been Serge Ibaka, there'd have been somebody knocked the hell out. That's what would have happened. But because neither one of these guys wanted to fight, they want to act like they want to hit somebody, and one would hit somebody at the elbow and all this stuff. That's what it boiled down to.
All right, well, even so, even if that's the case, lapping around the court, where everyone's trying to contain you and you're going into full sprint mode, you can't scare white people like that, man. And ticket holders were in there. Like, look at that dude. That guy is upset.
Josue, that did not scare them. Unfortunately,
what? It did. Are you kidding me? Bob Ryan said he's never seen a player so mad in his life.
It did not. It entertained them. Did you hear the crowd every time he's charged? Did you hear what they did? They started to roar.
Yeah. People sitting 17 rows back.
You didn't scare anybody. And I think because it was Detroit, you think the last real NBA fight, serious NBA fight, was in Detroit. And then on top of it, the only WNBA fight that was probably ever been was in Detroit. So everybody looked at this like,
right.
Wow.
Another thing, about that.
Detroit has a common denominator when you start thinking about fights that have been in the NBA. I'm sorry to tell you that news.
No, I get that, Max, but this whole Malice in the Palace too, stop it. I don't want to hear that. Stop it. No. There was a lot more swinging and connect punches I've ever seen in my life in a basketball event.
Malice in the Palace was real. And this comedian said it, how fans would be like, yeah, man, come on up here. And the comedian said, they did. Said they just wiped out the whole area. And one guy had a drink in his hand who was accidentally beaten up, said, I have a beverage in my hand. I didn't do anything. And they were raging coming towards him. I mean, it's just, there was one of those things that you see and you never forget.
Man, it was, yeah, but see, that's the thing. You can't compare the two. I mean, they had to change the name of this arena because of what happened, No,
that wasn't even, that comparably was nothing. I mean, you really think about it. Other than him charging, what was really special about that? Other than him charging.
Right.
That's
all people wanted to see, man.
And hell, you know what? He should have got a job over there with the Patriots, where he was running through guys' tackles. Man, people trying to hit him. He just going through dudes like, tackle what? I mean, guys like just falling down. They try to grab him by the legs. So it was crazy. But but for me, I'll say it again. The dude didn't want to fight. And the reason he didn't want to fight, because if he had come up swinging, it would have been, he would connected then and there. What he did was come up and actually grab LeBron. So you didn't want to fight. Josue, come on, man. I understand what you're saying, but are we real?
It's just the internet, man. That's what they're saying. But yeah, I agree. I agree with you. You can't compare the two.
No, man. It wasn't even, that was truly apples and oranges when you think about guys who have fought and who've been hit. And just think about it. He didn't punch anybody.
Yeah.
Was there one blow passed in that other than LeBron's blow?
Right, but you know what, Max? I the one takeaway I feel like people are afraid to say, but it's in everyone's or most people like minds, is it was kind of unique to see someone not just gives too much respect to LeBron James. No, like I'm not saying that like other people would just take an elbow and be like, oh, but to see that sort of reaction, it's sort of like, okay, well, maybe the NBA isn't so buddy like everyone says it is, right? Maybe not everyone is so chummy,
Well, do you think Draymond Green was getting a Christmas card from LeBron? You think they would switch?
He's an outlier. We talked about it before. There's a few guys that are still
right
old school
now who just ain't gonna take no junk from anybody. And I don't think king or no king or whatever he is, and no, he ain't gonna do that. I mean, you think about your guy, Kobe Bryant. Everybody respected him. All of a sudden, he got a two-piece from Chris Childs. Everybody still remembers that to this day. Where were you at when Kobe got the two-piece? Pop, pop. Where were you?
Chin. That chin when Kobe was like, whoa.
Whoa, what? What happened?
And Childs like, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was two-piece. That was a two-piece.
I'm a real one. He said. Mm-hmm. Not that I want the NBA to be like the way it was back in your day, Max, but I like a little chippiness there. I like no love lost between particular teams. And
we have gotten Josue. We've got, and I do understand the safety aspect of it.
Wait, what do you mean, Max? You never jump into a crowd or anything before, have you?
Yeah, every league Josue, has become soft. I mean, during my time, during the 60s, man, baseball, them dudes was throwing at each other. They were throwing at each other. There was a guy, he hit a guy with a baseball bat, while he was there. Football, there wasn't a quarterback alive that was safe during those times. And I understand football that you can't hit the chosen one, but man, football has become more like they should just have I think with the quarterbacks, they should just play tag now, because you can't go in and hit them. I mean, guys are, and then sometimes the quarterbacks run through you because they know that they're not going to hit. The same thing with NBA basketball. A bunch of guys like right now will talk you to death. Marcus Smart, God bless him. Marcus Smart has done that so many times.
He's one of those people.
He'll look at a dude and do like this. Yeah, okay. All right, dude. Talk. There you go. Talk me to death now. Talk me to death. But that's how that goes. So I think that you look at it in that way.
Definitely, for sure. And someone like Marcus, that's a great example. Someone that you would love on your team, but you don't like to face him certain nights because he can really get into your head. He does a good job of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few guys who are like that in the NBA. You think about it. Marcus Smart will be one of them. Patrick Beverly would be another guy who's going to get up in your mouth. Who else would? Kyle Lowry, he ain't going to take no joke.
Yep.
Sergio Baca is another dude. You do anything to Sergio Baca, it's on it popping. You ain't even got to think about it. And
for sure.
Some guys, you think about it. Joel Embiid, he'll elbow you, he'll hit you, but he ain't gonna turn around and square up like, yo, let's get it going. He ain't gonna do that.
He's looking at the scoreboard. He wants that win.
He'll come with that elbow and do like Shaq and hit you all up in the mouth, but he ain't gonna square on you.
But he'll contain himself to not get himself ejected. Like, he's that kind of guy. He's looking at the scoreboard. He's like, no, it's a bigger picture here. We got to win this.
No bullshit. He just ain't gonna fight. That's all. And then about contain yourself.
You think he's soft like that? I just don't think he's like he's that kind of dude.
The NBA is soft as damn cotton. You ask everybody that has played in the NBA during the time I played, it's soft as damn cotton now. And one of these guys wouldn't fart.
What happened? Why is that?
Josue, listen to me. A guy wouldn't even fart good in the NBA right now. I'm telling you, that's how soft this league has become.
What do you think happened? What do you think? What led to this? How did we get here?
I think a lot of it had to do with. I think more of it had to do with 1984. Celtics playing the Lakers, and the Celtics turned it into a form of wrench ball. And, Lakers took a pounding and they were like, look, we can't have our game turning into that. And from then on, they started getting flagrant fouls. You think about it. The other night, there was a flagrant foul against Williams. And he came up and grabbed the guy so he couldn't get to the free throw line. And they called that a flagrant foul. ML Carr and Gerald Henderson happened to be at the game. They were sitting on the front row because they were being honored during the 80s. And I walked up to him on the front row. I said, can you believe that? Can you believe that was a damn foul? Can you believe that was a flagrant foul that Grant Williams made by grabbing the guy? And they both just bust out laughing. And the people around me heard me say that, and they all bust out laughing too. So the league has really become more of a powder puff league when it comes to some things with players. And part of it is for the good, and part of it is for the bad. I understand that we're trying to protect the players, but at the same time, the players protect themselves and they police themselves. So you wouldn't have a bunch of tough guys running their mouth without getting their jaw blasted, So that's to me is like that's the real deal.
All right, one more thing on this, and then we'll move on to the Celtics. But do you think moving forward, is this something that you'll see a pattern of throughout the NBA? Maybe not a pure fist fight the way people are trying to hype this up to be, but just that sort of attitude where guys are just not taking crap from others, and more. Like, that's what I meant earlier about making these white people scared. Because like all these season ticket holders, like, well, wait a minute, this is what the NBA is going to turn into now. After Black Lives Matter, after all the support,
you got a couple of guys who sound like that. Like Jimmy Butler sounds like that, but I don't know if Jimmy Butler would do anything. Marcus Smart, I believe he would do something. I believe Marcus Smart will go the distance. He'd be like, okay, you really want to fish this thing out, Kyle Lowry? Yeah, they will go. They will go. And the league is, you think about it. The forearm shiver that was done up, by the MVP in Denver, Jokic, hitting the Mars brother in the back after the Mars brother cross-body blocked him, and then felt like, oh, there ain't nothing going on this leg. And Serve said, nah.
See, that's what I mean. I feel like it's edging up. It's getting worse and worse a little bit until we get a full-on brawl, in a couple of months.
And you know what? It wouldn't be bad. Okay, I'm just saying that it wouldn't be you talk to anybody who's played the game before in that kind of way, has been around, would say, oh, okay, grown ass men playing a tough physical game, and all of a sudden something comes out of it. I don't think that nobody's gonna really punch anybody, but it's not a bad, to me, it's not a bad thing. And I'm talking for me. I'm not talking for you, but I'm talking about every guy that I knew that I played with. I talked to Bob McAdoo. I talked to James Worthy about it. I talked to ML Carr. I talked to Robert Parrish. I can just go on and on down the list of people that I talked to about the game, how it's become so soft, and people right now who, pretend to be tough guys, aren't tough guys.
Well, another part of this I feel like is, and we've seen it throughout the NFL, and the from the fans, right? The fighting, and I think in a way, not the Celtics, but the NBA players, they're starting to feed off the fact that they have a full arena now. They didn't have that last year. I think that's another part that people sort of forget here. And also, again, with this Stewart thing, I just think the Stewart thing was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna be forever the dude covered in blood. I gotta do something to protect my name. On top of the fact that, like, I can't believe
okay, all right.
He elbowed me so bad that I had to defend myself and show that everyone they're not gonna forget this reaction.
Okay, if you're saying that, then Josue, what did Stewart do? Let me make sure I hear it from your mouth. What did Stewart do?
He made LeBron sweat.
He made LeBron sweat. LeBron was on the baseline. He wasn't worried about that.
The look on LeBron's face when he was charging, he was like,
LeBron had a wall of Secret Service agents ready to take a bullet. Come on. He didn't do anything. All he did was theatrics. He didn't.
Has anyone ever tried to charge LeBron? I've never seen it.
How many feet do you think he was away from LeBron? 20?
15.
20 feet away.
15.
Yeah, 20 feet away. He went from being
right. He went from 15 to 37 real quick.
To be in the half court, to then to charging, to getting probably within 20 feet of him. And he felt like he was in danger? Come on. He didn't feel like he was in danger.
When he broke free for 5 seconds? No, man.
If everybody would have jumped out of the way, do you think that Patrick would have came over there and swung? Or you think he would have came over, come on, man.
I think he would have swung. I think he would have swung.
I don't think he would have swung.
He wants to be a meme, man. He would have lived on forever.
He is a meme. He's bleeding like a meme. He was busted wide open, blood coming down his face.
He couldn't say the narrative. He tried to say the narrative. He couldn't say it.
Here's the meme, Josue. He's gonna be like if you send somebody something and now you're gonna have him charging at somebody. That's gonna be the meme. Oh hell no! And then you're gonna have him running after somebody. That's
People
gonna be
falling
the meme.
over. He's just pushing people
Yeah,
over.
and you can have LeBron over there doing like, whoa,
Yeah, that's all he did. Like,
yeah, okay.
all right, let's talk C's, man. 3-game winning streak, 4-game homestand. The Brooklyn Nets are in town tonight. I guess this is the best test, clearly, right, throughout this homestand. But win or lose, I don't think we move away. We walk away from this homestand thinking that feeling the way we felt a few games ago, right? At the end of the day, this team is showing some progress, and a lot of that has to do with Jason Tatum dropping 30+ points in 4 consecutive games. Max, how good are the Celtics right now?
I think you look at the one game he had 30. The first one, a little shaky. But these last couple of games, Jason Tatum has really dominated and played well. His jump shot looks like it's back. And then on top of that, man, it wasn't it nice to see Brown step in and knock down 3 long jump shots and get the crowd
first
going.
Game back.
I mean, you could tell he was a little tentative early on, but then once he got going, the thing, and I talked to Jason, we talked to Jason Tatum, myself, and Sean Grandy, my broadcast partner, after the game, and made mention of that and said, how do you feel about that? He said, man, I'm glad to have it back because what it does is insulates him. Them teams just cannot focus on one player when you have Brown back that way. And really, I think Horford helps him that much more by standing out in the corner and knocking down jump shots, because that was really a big thing last night in last night's game.
What I love about this team right now is that they're sticking with the program, right? They're not straying away to hero shots. They're not straying away from being stagnant on offense. And I just think it tells a lot about what Ime's voice means to these guys. It resonates.
Here's the thing about who's the most patient guy out there that we've seen growth from offensively. I think it would be Marcus.
I think
Marcus because Marcus is jacking up shots. He has taken shots that he's supposed to have. He's knocked down a few shots, but he's been more of a facilitator, getting the ball to other people's. Schroder.
I was gonna say, does Schroder help? Did he help with that?
Oh man, he's been really good. He's been good on both ends of the floor. I didn't know he was as good defensively. And Sean Grandy kind of busted my bubble saying, enjoy Schroder while you can because you won't have him next year. That's what he was saying. And I said, well, maybe the Celtics can come back and sign him. Sean said, no. He said they can only give him a small increment over the salary that he can offer him a small salary.
Over that $5 million bag.
Yeah, over. And and here's the most laughable thing. Just wait, is he gonna get that $20 million back from a team? Oh yeah.
You think
the way he's playing? Yeah.
Do you think which team is it going to be though? I don't think it'll be a contender.
No, well, there's teams out there they have money to spend, and you think about were the Lakers a contender? With the Lakers, how about this? With the Lakers,
you didn't think so, but I did.
Would the Lakers be better off with him now than or having Westbrook? And think about it. You paying Schroder, you'd have to pay him $21 million, but you're paying right now, you're going with $40 million right now for Westbrook. So who would be the better bargain?
Clearly it's Schroder, but we have to wait and see what happens in the playoffs with Westbrook, because that's the only thing that's going to save this season for him. If he just turns it on in the playoffs, that's the only way.
It would be like that coach would say, playoffs.
Playoffs.
You just rather hope they win another game. They're not that bad, but if you look at some of their performances, it's like
Friday.
Yeah, look, and I laugh because I think about how the Celtics beat them, and they were down to Detroit. They're going to be playing New York, and without LeBron, that's going to be a tough game. But it might be a better game because of one thing: Anthony Davis has to take over. When Anthony Davis decides that this is going to be his team, and LeBron is going to follow, then I think they're going to be that much better a team. I talked to a assistant coach, ex-assistant coach in the NBA, and he said the thing that's going to have to happen, LeBron has to take a back seat. He can no longer be the horse. He has to be the jockey. And until he understands that, I don't think that Laker team is going forward.
Well, who takes his place though? Like, I feel like he can't be the number one guy, or he's at a point where he doesn't have to be, but he's going to be 1B, right? I
Yeah,
don't think this
he
team.
can be. He can be that other guy. I mean, you think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Eventually, had to give that team over to Magic Johnson. It became his team. Every good team, there is progress so far as giving the reins up to somebody else. I mean, you think about even Steph Curry. As good as Steph Curry was, when Durant got there, whose team was it then?
KD's
team. And Steph Curry took a back seat.
And that was something that was discussed between the two before he officially signed, if I'm not mistaken. There was a report that he had a phone call where Steph had called him after the meeting and saying, "Hey, listen, if this is a deciding factor here, just so you know, this is your team. Like, we're bringing you in here. We want you to guide us, and we're gonna take down, the Miami Heat."
And that's what has to happen if the Lakers are going to get better.
Right.
They
Or the Cleveland Cavaliers.
do the same thing. Have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're going to get better. If they're going to go where they would like to go, they're going to have to do that. But I'm telling you, that bridge out there in front of them, I mean, that's all over the NBA, but especially in the West. You think about it. Phoenix has won, 12 or 13 games in a row right now?
Yeah.
And Golden State's on a roll.
Ooh, Clay just got cleared to play.
Clay is talking about coming back.
Yeah.
Denver is
He's practicing this week.
Utah is playing well. So there are 5 teams right there. 5 teams that are playing well. And you top that off by Oklahoma beat them twice. They're out west. And so, they're going to have some problems with some people. And Minnesota, one of the bottom feeders, went in their building and beat them by 30. So the Lakers' road to a championship, I think, is
bumps and detours.
Yeah, it's blown way out of proportion.
I can't wait, and usually we get this trip later on in the season, but I can't wait to see how the Celtics team goes out west and how they bode well against those type of teams, right? Whether it's the Lakers, Clippers, Portland Trailblazers, you got the Phoenix Suns. Like, that's an excellent trip to really gauge where this team is at in the next, when is it, about 10 days from now? So,
that is a great barometer, because if you're going into Salt Lake City, Portland, tough place to play.
Then back-to-back LA.
You got both the LA teams, and then you run into Phoenix on the last leg of that 5-game trip.
That's a tough game.
You think about it. If they came out of that trip 3-2, very successful.
That's huge.
If they came out 2-3, you still would take that.
No, absolutely. That's a huge confidence builder.
Yeah, because I think if they went out and they went 4-1 in that, that would be a huge confidence builder going back into the Christmas Day game against Milwaukee and Milwaukee.
Have the Celtics turned a corner? Is this the part? Is this the part of the season we're going to look back and be like, that 4-game homestand, that was it?
There's a possibility that happened. Last night's game was a game that you need to win handily. When you play teams that like a Houston that's lost so many games, you have to leave no doubt. And
one win. They had one win going into that.
Yeah, but the separation was like from the second quarter on. The separation was huge.
Yeah, the
Celtics haven't really done that with a lot of opponents. You think about OKC. OKC comes back and makes basically almost a one possession game after you up against 20 against them. So yeah, the road is about to get very tough right now for the Celtics. And tomorrow night's game against Brooklyn is going to be huge when you think about a confidence builder. And if KD is playing and Harden's playing, and what's going on with the elephant in the room with Kyrie not playing? When are they gonna make it? And when is Philadelphia gonna make a decision about Simmons?
Nets PR and Philly PR at the same time are like, no comment. They got nothing right now.
I got nada.
Lo siento. Hey, this is a team that they lost against the Chicago Bulls. They've dropped a couple of games, throughout the course of the season, but the Brooklyn Nets are a good team, with or without Kyrie. It seems
Yeah,
like so. We're getting a matchup for sure, a good matchup.
people were talking about them because they got beat by Chicago going in there, but Chicago's beating everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Chicago was down by 20 to the Celtics in the third quarter and came back and won that game by 17.
To beat that ass.
So I think
that was actually when this team started winning after that.
Yeah.
Point.
So you think about that team, but Chicago right now has been no joke, and maybe Washington is coming back to they're coming back down to earth. They lost a couple of games, but what's Philadelphia going to do? There's some teams out there that have a lot of stuff to prove.
I think this is a great opportunity for Jalen to send a message here. He had to sit out of that best of 7 series against the Nets, throughout the playoffs. And this isn't quite the playoffs, or we're not even near it, but this is a good way for him to send a message going up against KD, going up against those guys and James Harden and future Hall of Famers.
Absolutely. You're playing at home and you've been playing well. This is going to be a huge game going into Thanksgiving. And then you go on the road with 2 teams that you could possibly beat. San Antonio has always given the Celtics problems, but they're not playing well right now. And you owe Toronto right now something for coming in and barnstorming you early in the season. I think the second game in the season.
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And of course, it is Thanksgiving Eve, so the crowd's going to be well prepared, right? It's just unfortunate they're not going to get Kyrie.
Crowd is going to be great for that. And
we'll get a Kyrie chant. I think we'll hear one.
Yeah, you'll hear that. You'll hear, and unfortunately, I hate it, but you'll hear the F Kyrie, and Kyrie's not even around. Kyrie's not even around. That's what it pisses me off. That first of all, you would be chanting that around kids, but damn, the dude ain't even gonna be there, and you're chanting already. F Kyrie.
It's like, man, that dude, he still lives in your head. Like, come on, fans.
Absolutely, jeez. He has some room in a lot of people's heads here in Boston. And so and probably more. I think about it this way: probably more than Boston than any place else that he has room.
No question.
That he's rented a space. Because people in Cleveland are over it. They're not worried about it. They're like, whatever. You won the championship. They move on.
Yeah, we got championship. Whatever, we're good.
People in Boston have more co-ops in Kyrie's name than any other team right now in this league.
Yeah, because Warriors fans, they got the championship against the Cavs. They got their revenge. They're not crying about that big shot. I'm sure it still hurts when they see the highlight, but they blew a 3-1 lead. It was more than just that shot, right? But I'm with you. The Celtics fans, nothing like it.
That was them. But Celtic fans saw dreams of a championship when Kyrie was here, when he first stepped here. And I thought it was that way. And what would happen if you could just go back and take away 5 seconds of that game when you had Gordon Hayward go up and get undercut and break his leg? How different does that make that season? And really, how would that have impacted the progress of Jaylen Brown and of Tatum?
Because he resigned.
Those two guys were able to flourish essentially when they went down.
So true. That changed everything. And I don't think we quite understood. I mean, we did during the time, but we didn't get the big picture. 3-4 years later, how much that affected the entire process.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I think that was not seen in that way until after it had really happened. I mean, you can look back on that and say, wow, what a team you had though. Yeah. And that team was absolutely, the Morris brother was killing.
Oh man, Marcus was my guy.
Good dude. Mean, you think about Kyrie, the way he was playing. You had Al.
Just think about that time, right? Just real quick about one thing real quick about Marcus. Marcus couldn't find a home. Remember, Marcus Morris is seen like people knew he could play, but that first year with Boston was the first season he put together, and he proved that he's a solid, not only a contributor but a rotation piece.
I mean, but that team is you just go down that line. And you think about there was who was there at that time? Was Terry Rozier was still there, right? So
Rozier,
you had
yep.
Terry Rozier, you had
Terry, Terry.
Marcus Smart, you had all these guys that you had Al Horford.
Al Horford.
That team from top to bottom, that it didn't seem like there was a weakness. And the best thing about that team was young. That was a young squad of guys that people looked at. If they could have won, they felt like they could have dominated for the next, 3 or 4 years if you kept that team together.
Max, you put a couple of chapters together about that era and that team, and I got to say, one of the things that stood out most was how you talked about that. Like, you go back to Hayward, or his injury and how that affected things, and then Kyrie, that promise. I mean, if he doesn't make the promise, the preseason promise, if you'll let me, I'll resign. Are fans still upset? Like, there's so many what ifs, but at the end of the day, the Celtics, one way or another, were always in a solid position to succeed,
Well,
and that's
you think
that's a
in that
testament to Danny Ainge and just the way things have unfolded.
well, you think about it in that way, and all the draft picks that Danny had accumulated. You had that team, and you had draft picks upon draft picks, and people thought how you fleeced Brooklyn with by getting 3 first-round picks.
Philly,
you hit Philly in the head, and now you look at both those teams, and they're actually ahead of you. That's the crazy part about it. You fleece them, but at the same time, they're now ahead of you with their programs.
Definitely. Yep. It's the NBA, man. You can't predict this shit. I'm telling you. I always tell people, it's just like the plot lines are insane. Like, you don't know how it's going to unfold. And it's unlike any other sport, if you ask me. Any other league. Like, what other league do you see, teams putting together, whether it's super teams or guys jumping ship or someone has a problem with somebody, the storyline. It's just like, you don't know what's going to happen.
I think because the players have more power, these huge contracts, they can decide now where they want to play, who they want to play with. That's changed the whole dynamics of the NBA. When you see, because the NBA is going to do something, because the Simmons thing, they don't want that to ever be in the room again.
Yeah.
But
a bad example. Someone else can be like, "Oh, I can do the same thing."
Here's the real crazy thing about it. Do you blame the players when Al Horford was sent home for $20-something million and said we don't want to win in OKC, or Gilgeous Alexander sent home? Do you blame the players at that time? I mean, John Wall down in Houston right now. Look, he was shooting the ball well. He's at $40 million. Houston Rockets saying, "Hey, we don't want you to play." Now, is that
Max, that's what happens when you're a league that's top 7 heavy, and all the other teams, they don't have really much of a chance to get a top pick. They have to start losing on purpose.
Do you blame the players though at that point when you have them sitting out? This is management saying, "Sit out. We don't want you to play." John Wall, you're a good player. You're a great player. We got you, but we don't even want you to play. Al Horford, hey, come on down here. We made a trade for you to come to OKC. Don't worry about it. Just stay in shape. Gilgeous Alexander,
we'll flip your contract when we get a chance. We'll flip you when we get a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at, and we'll see what happens. Will they ever be back on the map again, considering all the draft picks they have? They have a boatload of high draft picks for their team.
Yeah, they're taking a page out of Danny Ainge's book, but they made a remix. They're going a whole nother level.
Here's the thing, though. Which somebody said, and I think it's so true. In the NBA, and this came from, I think, Michael Felker, the NBA, you never want to be one of those teams that's in the middle, because you never change really your trajectory. Yeah. What you are, you do have to be a real bad team, and then you can be a good team.
You can't be a first-round knockout.
Teams that stay in the middle, they never really change their trajectory because they don't have good picks. And normally they're not able to get good players to come to their squads.
Right. So that's the thing. You look at a team like OKC, they're in a Western Conference where you name about 4 or 5 teams that all have a shot to make it to the finals. And say, well, where do we stand? How do we make ourselves attractive? Well, shit, look what Boston did in a matter of 3 years throughout that rebuild. You collected a bunch of picks, you traded and swapped guys in and out until you found the core guys that you wanted, and you're hoping that you can lure in a top tier free agent sometime down the road just by putting together the team that he would succeed in, you know, or that sort of situation. But then someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be one of those pieces. Maybe he's not the number one piece, but you got one so far, and I feel like they're just being extra patient right now, you know.
I mean, you can understand them trying to play their younger players. I do understand that, and you have to appreciate it. But it's just a crazy catch-22 when you think about how this league is and how it's perceived, and everybody, it's the players doing this. Well, it has to also be owners and has to be management.
Man, people always blame the players because they exactly.
They blame the players nobody twisted Philly's arm and told them that go out and give Simmons $180 million.
That's the part I never understood about. These players make so much money and they behave this way. Well, who's giving them that money? Like, you're gonna blame somebody, blame the other side. You can't blame the players. They're being empowered, So
yeah, absolutely. But this is part of the league, and what does it tell you about if an owner can pay you $200 million? What is an owner making? What is the owner making of a franchise? The franchises, the value of the franchises have gone through the roof since the thing happened with Donald Sterling.
Yeah, but no. I think it started with KG, man. I just watched the KG documentary, and he said that exact same line. Or that's what everyone was thinking. If you're gonna sign this kid for that huge contract, and he's not even one of the top 5, top 10 players in the NBA, how much are you making? The ownership of Minnesota Timberwolves is making. Never mind, this isn't New York, this isn't LA. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and there was a lockout because of it.
Yeah, here's the thing I thought was so cool, and I happened to see that documentary, and I was in it.
How good was that?
I was surprised. I was just like, damn, I was in this.
I got goosebumps. Yeah, you're in it. Of course you saw it. What am I talking about? Yeah, of course.
But the funny thing about that was the most serious part about that documentary, which hit me, was when Kevin Garnett was talking about the picture of himself, Flip Saunders, and the owner,
Kevin McHale. Oh no, it's the owner. Okay, yeah.
Owner of the team, Glenn Taylor, Kevin Garnett, and Flip Saunders, and himself, and they were taking a picture. And the picture, it was deep though. It was really deep. Kevin was sitting down, and they had Glenn standing up, and then they had Kevin below him, then they had Flip below him. And Kevin Garnett, the way he put it was so deep though. He said, "This is the way they look at us." And he said, that's right. I'm down here, and this is how they look at me.
This is my say. This is my say in the organization.
As a black player, and I was just like, whoa, because the picture it was a stark picture because it was kind of done in black and white, and
it was a significant dip for King.
And it was. I can understand how they framed it because I mean, you wouldn't have Kevin Garnett standing up and Glenn, the owner, over him. Sitting down. I mean, you wouldn't do that, but it was just deep listening to Kevin. And the thing that you realize about Kevin Garnett is just some of the things he says that he's a well thought of individual. He thinks well. He thinks out the box, and man, his work ethic again is man. I would have loved. It was really cool to see how he said, "Kobe, why'd you call me?" So you could have had this done. All you had to do is pick up the phone and call me. And he was talking about he could have played in LA.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because that's crossed my mind the last few years because it came up in another interview. I feel like it was All the Smoke. And KG told the story how he couldn't get a hold of him, and he was reaching out to people from the Lakers. No one, and he never heard back from Kobe. And after hearing that story, I couldn't shake the feeling that Kobe received that message, and I just think that he maybe thought about it long and hard, and maybe there was some reservation. Maybe he was like, you know what? I don't know if KG's the right guy, not because of his talent, but just because these guys could clash. This guy was the hungriest guy in the NBA. There was no one hungrier for a championship than Kevin Garnett. It wasn't even close. And I think Kobe had to make a serious decision, and of course a personal one that he wasn't going to say to anyone and make it, leak out there that he was actually considering it. But I think he made a decision to say, you know what, Pau Gasol, what we're doing here, I think that's the better route, and they decided to go with that. But I do think that he received that message. We'll never know for sure, but I think he received that message. Someone told him, "Hey, KG wants to talk to you, man. You better call him back."
That could be that's a brain teaser, because that could be possible, because he just got rid of the biggest guy in the league in Shaq,
Exactly.
and now I'm gonna take on another personality.
And
Like,
this guy is maybe more passionate than Shaq, but it could be a mix. It could be a bad mix.
My team. It's already my
Yeah.
team. But if you look at it, I think the marriage would have been unbelievable, because you have two of the hardest working guys in the NBA. And even when Garnett got here, people say it was his team, but at the same time, he was just as eager to push Paul Pierce ahead of him in almost every situation. Like if it's
the closest still, man.
Hey, I'm gonna give it to Paul. Or so I think he would have been the same way with Kobe Bryant. I think that would have been a match made in heaven between those two guys right there, and playing the game and playing it at that level, because nobody has probably ever been as intense as Kevin Garnett playing here in Boston. Maybe you think about Russell, you think about Bird, think about maybe Cowens, who had that same kind of fire. It just doesn't happen like that. I was thinking about that the other day. I said, and this could get me in trouble, but I'll say it anyway. Larry Bird could be the worst person in the world to play with. And I don't say it in a mean way. I say it because his motor, his work ethic was so doggone high that players around him could never get to that level. Somebody told me the other day.
Can I quote your book? Can I quote your book real quick, Max?
You could have dominated. You could have been more dominant in the games you played in. I said, but I had a life. I was more. Larry Bird was. Certain players are consumed by the game, and the game consumes them. Larry was consumed by the game. Kobe was consumed by the game. There's only a handful of guys that I can say just have been so single-mindedly focused that that's all they saw. And you can never, as a teammate, you can never match that. I remember Kobe saying to somebody one day, said, I think Phil Jackson told him, said, Kobe used to be on his teammate's ass. And Phil Jackson said, Kobe, nobody can ever get to your level. So stop beating your teammates up. Nobody's going to get there. Larry Bird, nobody could get to his level the way he drank, ate, and believed in the game. And this is not a slap, but it's a great acknowledgement about how focused he was as a player, and how I looked at myself. I was like, nah, I got other things I like to do. I like to listen to music. I'm not consumed, but I love the game. The game is great to me. I feel like I'm good. I didn't have that motor. If I'd had that motor, I could have gone probably to another level.
The one quote that comes to mind from your book, and I think it's really spot on as to what you're trying to say right now, is that some guys they find a new level of not success, but what should I say? They find a new level of focus when it matters most, when the lights are at its brightest. And some guys, they're going to give you the same level every single night. Now, some people might say, well, the guy who gives it to you every single night, whoa, man, that's amazing. But then the other guy might, or someone else might say, well, what about the other guy, though? That guy, when the other one is not, feeling it, he's more of a guarantee to step up big in the big spots, right? And that's something you mentioned in your book, that you were ready and guys knew, your teammates had played alongside with you long enough to know Max ain't gonna drop the ball in this one, and maybe that was something that was overlooked.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's like today, I think somebody was telling me, we're talking about Dan Patrick had said a couple things about me, and that were a little bit disparaging about how I was envious, I guess, to a degree, of Larry Bird. And if I had ever said anything that was not just spot on complimentary as a broadcaster, as a player about Larry, it's like I was trying to take down his character. When even with today's comment, when I say hard playing with him because nobody can get to his level, it's not trying to take down his character, but actually showing you the difference between what a great player he was, and everybody else that was trying to get there on his level. You think of how good Kevin McHale was. Kevin McHale was one of the most dominant players around, but didn't get a chance to play as much when I was there. And then once he got a chance to play, he was dominant for a while, but then he got hurt, and he never was the same again. But it was just, again, trying to get to that level that Larry Bird, and I know very few people could get to that level.
Was Jordan like that, if I had to guess?
Jordan was another guy consumed with the game, and the game consumed him. And, those guys that you think about it, because as great as Scottie Pippen was, the knock on him was that, when Jordan left, he should have taken over the game. But he was a different player. He's more complementary to what Jordan was doing instead of being as dominant. And we saw a lot of games where Scottie was so dominant and played so well.
Right.
But that happens. That happens. But I think that happens playing second fiddle or being the second banana. That is going to happen to you 9 times out of 10. That people are always going to compare you to the first guy, and that is not fair. But that's just how it happens.
You know what's going to happen next? The next comparison that's going to continue in this city.
Brown and
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Here we go, guys. You know that conversation is coming up in about a week or so when Jaylen gets his foot back into things and wait a minute, is Jaylen the number one guy here? Did the Celtics have this wrong? How can these two make it work and all that good stuff? So we'll be here to talk about it, guys.
How can they coexist? So I think, guys, that's a teaser. I think that is a wrap. Subscribe. Yes, you make this possible by hitting that like button and following us, and this is what we believe in, and we try to there you go, the Cedric Maxwell.
Hey, get your Christmas present early.
If these walls can talk, telling you, and we're just trying to, we try, as Josue and I would tell you all the time, we're just trying to keep it on the what?
Yes, sir. Keep it on 100.
The 100.
You already know, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back next week.
And all these other shows, they try to tell you something. Look, we just trying to keep it on the 100. That's all.
Like, what other podcast you going to get this sort of insight about Larry Bird and playing in this, competing for championship in Boston, man? Only here on the Cedric Maxwell podcast.
Yeah. Or all the other goodies we give you. We don't just stop there. We've crossed a bunch of different lines and talked about a bunch of different things. So we're so happy that you have decided to follow us with all our guests, from Robert Parrish to we just recently had Paul Pierce. So it's just a bunch of guys that are friends of the show and friends of the family.
And we appreciate everyone reaching out on Twitter and sending us comments and stuff. The comment section, we appreciate that, of course. But yeah, man, happy Thanksgiving. Max, happy Thanksgiving. I know you and I both love this holiday very much. Maybe I can probably have to get Mom to make you a plate because, you love Mom's cooking. You're a big fan of my mom's cooking, so I got to put you on.
This is 2 holidays for me are the best. And the 2 holidays is the one which is approaching, which is Thanksgiving. And the other one, which is already passed, is July the 4th. And
that's right. You do love the 4th of July.
Both of them about cooking, eating, and gathering with friends and family. And because you guys follow us, we consider all of your family. So
absolutely,
you get your piece of that turkey, but leave some of that damn cranberry sauce for me. All right.
Yes. Yo, you're a cranberry sauce too, guy.
Yes,
I am too.
There you go.
Hey. Nobody else in my immediate family touches it. It's all for me, so I can't wait. This Thursday, it's going to happen again. Guys, we're out of here. Once again, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week. And go get this book, all right? If you haven't already, check it out.
All right. These walls can talk. All right. Peace out.
We'll see you guys next week.